All right, we're going to look at simplifying fractions now. And, there's some different things that we can look at when we're simplifying fractions and different strategies we can use. But one of the, main things that we want to be aware of is if we divide by the greatest common factor, then we can simplify the fraction. Now, if we don't know for sure what the greatest common factor is, we can list those out. Or we can see, because these are both even, I can start out dividing 8/12 both by 2 over 2. So 2 over 2 would be the same thing as 1. So that is also a reminder that it's like I'm dividing by 1. So I'm going to expect to get the same thing. So even though I'm not going to have the same numbers, I'm going to have the same amount, keeping these simplified fractions equivalent. So 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. So now I notice that, they're still even, so I can divide by 2 over 2 again. So 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. So 2/3, now I can ask myself, do they have any common factors? And other than 1, they don't have any common factors, so I know that we're in simplest form now. Now, if I wanted to do this in just one step, if I listed out my factors of 8 and 12, I know that 8 times 1 gives me 12, and then 4 times 2 gives me 12, 8 times 1 gives me 8, and 4 times 2 gives me 8. So those are my factors of 8. And then my factors of 12, 12 times 1 gives me 12, and then I have 2 times 6 to get 12, and then 3 times 4 gives me 12. So if I look at this list, I can see that 4 is going to be their greatest common factor. So if I divided both of these by 4 over 4, then I would end up 8 divided by 4 gives me 2. 12 divided by 4 gives me 3. So I end up with 2/3, just doing it one step of division. So now, I have one where we don't have even numbers. So 3/15. I know I can't use 2 in this case. Now, I could check to see if I could use 3, whatever the smaller number is. And that is going to be the case. If I listed out the factors, the greatest common factor is going to be 3. So I'm going to divide both of these by 3 over 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 1/5 would be my simplest form. Now, this other one over here, I've got 5/25. So if I list out my factors of 5, it's just going to be 1 times 5. Then my factors of 25, 1 times 25, and then 5 times 5. So 5 is the greatest common factor. So I'm going to divide both of these by 5. 5 divided by 5 is just 1. 25 divided by 5 is going to be 5. So this one is also 1/5. So, just remember when you're simplifying, you're looking for a common factor between them. If you don't start with the greatest common factor, you can just keep dividing until you get down to where they only have 1 in itself as a factor. So, let's say that I had 9/27. So, some of you may not recognize any common factors between these. So you can go ahead and just list them out. 1 times 9, and then 3 times 3. Then for 27, 1 times 27, and then 3 times 9. So I see that they've got common factors of 3 and a common factor of 9. So since 9 is the greatest, if I want to do this in one step, then I'm going to go ahead and divide them by 9 over 9. So 9 divided by 9 gives me 1. 27 divided by 9 gives me 3. So I end up with 1/3. So I could have, if you knew that 3 was a factor and you forgot that 9 was, if you divide by 3, then we're going to get 3/9, which then they have a common factor of 3. So we have to divide by 3 again. So we end up with 1/3. All right, so I want you to practice the problems on the form, simplifying fractions.